Alright, welcome back everybody for round 12 of the PCDC Managers League, and we have Ayrton Senna on the front row with Jan Lammers behind him, then Ross Cheever, Maurizio Gugelmin, John Nielsen, Alain Prost ready for the start, and the lights go out as we head up to Variante da Rete Filho. Senna with a pretty good getaway, I think, but in the second phase there, the Zag speed actually overtakes Senna into turn 1, so Jan Lammers goes into the lead. Ooh, and there's a spin in turn 1, which I think is Ross Cheever. And cars are taking avoiding action. Ross Cheever's still there, and Emerson Fittipaldi is also caught up in the mess there. They do get going again, but both Emerson Fittipaldi and Ross Cheever to the back of the field now. And let's see here, now we have Maurizio Gugelmin being challenged. Oh, and another spin! Collision between Gugelmin and Michael Andretti. And through goes Alain Prost. And then in the background there is also Yannick Dalmas, who's coming through. But a lot of early on mistakes happening here at the Temple of Speed. And we now have Dalmas being chased down by Al Unser Jr. And here comes, I think that is Mika Hakkinen now on the inside of Yannick Dalmas. And Dalmas runs slightly wide, but he can recover the car. We said early on, a lot of mistakes here. Theo Fabi now goes slightly off. Gugelmin is still at the back here. Let's hope he can recover, but it's not a good start for the Scuderia. Nielsen now with the fastest lap. So a 1-2 for now, because the Ayrton Senna got overtaken. Yes, that's John Nielsen defending the position there, but a 1-2 so far for Zag Speed. A little bit of a mistake for Jan Lammers there. And then Ayrton Senna in third. Oh, and more issues at the first chicane, and another big pileup. And that is Alonso Jr. And now Gugelmin comes through. He takes avoiding action. Then Alonso Jr. tries to get his car spun around. So now Nakajima is there. Patrese gets going. Can Nakajima get going again? Doesn't look like it, so Nakajima might be out of the race here. Doesn't look like he can get going once again, and then he once again to the front. Jan Lammers and John Nielsen leading in front of Ayrton Senna, and Michele Alboreto up in fourth, which is quite a feat, as he had that crash last time around, and now there is more issues as Johnny Herbert, actually something I was going to talk about, but I guess we talked about it earlier. Manager Rexer elected to have Johnny Herbert in the car again for Monza because of the disappointing results of JJ Leto. And Herbert was supposed to take over that mantle a little bit again and, well, do better than Leto. But now on lap 3, Herbert is already out of the race. And that was a mistake, I think, in Ascari. As Jan Lammers and John Nielsen not quite running away with it. Senna is closing up again, I feel like. Also, Alboreto not too far behind, although he seems to be losing touch a little bit. Then comes Alain Prost, then Michael Andretti. Then Nelson Piquet in the Benetton. Then comes the young Mika Hakkinen with Roberto Moreno behind him. Then comes Dalmas. Then we have Jeff Lees on the cusp of the top 10. But here comes Emerson Fittipaldi now, after early on suffering issues there, and he will get past. Jeff Lee's only just about keeping it on a track and actually gets overtaken by his teammate Brundle. But Fittipaldi now back into 11th. And then obviously we're looking back here. Oh, Jeff Lee's now still challenging his teammate. As Ayrton Senna now puts in the fastest lap. And then Hakkinen with the fastest lap. So people churning out the lap times. Ross Cheever now down in 14th. He'll be looking to make some positions up again. Good thing for a lot of these bigger names like Cheever and Gugelmin, Fittipaldi. Those incidents happening at the start of the race, so they still have plenty of time to recover. And I'm sure they'll make their way through the field, but obviously... Oh, and now issues for Ross Cheever. He's reporting over the radio some sort of issue. It's making him slow up. And we'll see now how the rest of the field navigates, but Ross Cheever's race goes from bad to worse. And yeah, now going down Curva della Seriglio. He's being overtaken by the Eurobrun, the BMW. And now there comes Maurizio Gugelmin as well. Cheever will have to pull into the pits, and now Gugelmin gonna try and put a move up on Theo Fabi here. So Gugelmin trying to make his way through the field, no issue there. The Ferrari, obviously, Ferrari engine working wonders here at Monza. Now Fittipaldi with the fastest lap, the first car, I think, to get into the 33s. Fittipaldi really putting the pace on now. But he does have a 18.5 second deficit he has to make up as Ross Cheever enters the pits. He will need to get that issue sorted, and Alboreto, he was off into the gravel for a hot second there as he got passed by, I think, Alain Prost. And now the rest of the field somewhat closing up here on Alboreto. So initially a good getaway for Alboreto, but he's slowly falling into the clutches now of the cars behind. Meanwhile, Lemmer's still leading, but Ayrton Senna has also gotten past... he's gotten past John Nielsen, and Senna now closing up on Jan Lammers. Oh, and there was a mistake actually for Senna, misjudging his braking and lost a little bit of time there. Meanwhile, Alain Prost not too far behind, then Alboreto. Then comes Piquet, and now side by side here, Mika Hakkinen with Michael Andretti. And then closely behind that, Roberto Moreno in that second Lotus. As they go into turn 1 at Rettifilo. And it will be Hakkinen that edges out. Ooh, and a little bit of contact there, which ends up with both cars in the gravel. And actually Moreno taking advantage of that. Now Andretti somewhat stuck waiting for traffic to pass by. Here comes Gugelmin. Oh, and this is terrible for Michael Andretti. And now he gets going again, but he'll be at the back now, 17th, and his teammate not too far behind. So the Tyro's looking pretty good here today, but just a couple of mistakes, and this also means they're now at the back of the grid, pretty much. Meanwhile, Jan Lammers still leading, and now Ayrton Senna a bit further behind with that mistake. Here comes Emerson Fittipaldi on Dalmas. And Dalmas actually holding on. It seems like Emerson Fittipaldi held back there a little bit. See now through Ascari with the run down to the Parabolica. Can Emerson Fittipaldi get past the McLaren here? Moves to the inside. Surely will get that move done. Yes, he does. Almas will slot in behind. And Emerson Fittipaldi definitely closing up on the leaders. Nielsen still in third. Senna, after that mistake, slowly closing up to Jan Lammers. Fastest lap there for Fittipaldi once again, improving on his own lap time. Senna closing up. Take a look at the last lap times. So yeah, about 3/10 in it last time around between Senna and Lammers. Senna will be in striking range here after some laps. And here comes Alain Prost now. He's getting close to John Nielsen. Obviously, we know that Zach Speed is powered by that Honda engine. They've they've looked pretty good with it. Had a good result last time around, scoring a podium for Jan Lammers. He was second, and then I believe it was a 5th place for John Nielsen. So they looked pretty solid throughout that race. Now here we have Alain Prost right onto the back of John Nielsen. Actually drops back a little bit there. Nielsen still holding on that iconic red striped helmet. Here comes Gugelmin now, getting on and trying to get past both of the Williamses here. Moves in front of Martin Brundle to the Variante della Roggia. And is looking to get past, well, he actually got past Jeff Lees there. Now looking to get past Martin Brundle, which also shouldn't be an issue because we know that Williams is down on power. So the Ferrari is gonna definitely, yeah, look at that, make light work of that Williams. And that moves Gugelmin up into 11th now. Meanwhile, teammate Fittipaldi is up into 8th already. And they're making strong headway to the front of the grid. But meanwhile, something I missed, Ayrton Senna taking the lead of the race. Senna taking the lead of the race. Let's see if Lammers can come back at him. Or is it a case of Lammers tactically staying behind Senna? Because it does look like Senna has more pace right now. And it might be wise for Lammers to just sit in the slipstream and think about his own race. So far, the Brazilian, Senna, looking pretty good here. And curiously, Ayrton Senna only picking up 1 win so far, but that being said, he gets passed by Jan Lammers again. So Lammers not too keen on waiting around. And they are losing time this way. Now Senna comes back at him once again. Let's retake that position immediately. Into the Parabolica they go. Oh, but it's actually Lammers that holds on, but they're losing so much time battling like this. And now you can see John Nielsen and Prost are getting ever closer. And this could spell trouble now. And all in the meanwhile, they're losing time as well to drivers like Fittipaldi and Gugelmin, of course. Gugelmin a bit further behind. Oh, but someone's off there. Who was that? Michael Andretti once again into the gravel. So Tyrrell really having a poor day here today. And once again, he's gonna lose boatloads of time just by the grid passing him. Oh, and can he get going? He might be stuck in the gravel here. Or is he just waiting for traffic to get past? Might be the case, but meanwhile, Andretti is just losing time hand over fist. More cars coming through, still waiting, and now he gets going again, tries to at least. But here comes his teammate, he's gonna let him through as well. And Patrese. And he's still waiting. Oh god, this is painful to say the least. After this BMW, he should get going. Yes, he does, but Michael Andretti's race must be pretty much over here. And that's very disappointing after his great result last time, scoring a 4th place. He's now fallen all the way to the back of the grid, and just it's one of those days, I guess. Oh, but now issues for Emerson Fittipaldi. So Fittipaldi coming now. Is this through Parabolica? So yeah, Fittipaldi has to come into the pits for some sort of issue. Ferrari's crew obviously knew about it. They're on standby. But Fittipaldi having to come in now for another issue. Well, another issue. He's had his own issues at the start of the race, but now again is gonna slip back behind all that traffic because of an electrical issue, we're being told. And he slips back behind. That is one of the Eurobruns. Oh, and into turn 1, there's a Williams around and a Eurobrun being Eddie Lawson and Martin Brundle. They got together, it seems. That's a little bit less traffic for Emerson Fittipaldi to get through, but meanwhile now, Fittipaldi losing lots of time to the leaders, which is great for them, obviously. And well, Ferrari's luck just isn't going their way, it seems, here at Monza, which the Tifosi will be very disappointed with. Also always an amazing turnout here for the Ferrari squad, and fortunately so far that is gonna result in very disappointing results, but lots of time for them to make. Oh no, and it's gone from bad to worse. So I wonder if that issue had something to do with it, but it might look like Emerson Fittipaldi got together with Bobby Rahal, because Rahal is missing a front wing, so that is what happens. You know, you have one of these issues, you end up in the middle of the pack with cars and drivers that are much slower, and well, you can see that results in accidents like these. And unfortunately, Emerson Fittipaldi will once again be out of the race now. So Ferrari, it's well, wasting some points here in the past 2 races, and that might cost them dearly towards the end of the season here. Meanwhile, Andretti still in 21st, but that gives some solace to the likes of Jan Lammers and Ayrton Senna, knowing that they can duke it out on their own and they don't have to into account the Ferraris, as Gugelmin still about 20 or so seconds behind. And Lammers doing a good job. Then comes Senna, then Nielsen, so a 1-3 at the moment for Zach Speed. Alain Prost still on those heels as well. He's ready to pounce if something goes wrong. Then comes Nelson Piquet to round out the top 5. Then we have Michele Alboreto actually putting in a good stint here for Minardi. So I'm sure Martijn Knecht will be very happy with Alboreto's performance so far. And Gugelmin now putting in the fastest lap. Then we have Hakkinen, the young Finn, He's looking impressive as well here at the Temple of Speed. Then comes Roberto Moreno. Second Lotus still inside the points. Then Dalmas actually. So Dalmas, after a very disappointing last race, he's just outside of those points. And he might be looking at a top 10 here if he keeps going the way he's going. And here comes Maurizio Gugelmin. Still keen on getting back to the front. But that might not be so easy because everyone still has to make pit stops, of course. And and there is another pit call now for Bobby Rahal. Not sure what's going wrong on his end. But anyway, I think because of the high speed corners we have here at Monza and the temperatures mainly, I think we might see a 2-stop here today for most teams, but we will see. And now Senna once again getting within that slipstream range, and it seems that the Lotus actually is down on top speed a bit compared to the Zach speed, so Senna making up some time through the corners, but the Zach speed still just powering forward. And see here, Senna closes up a tiny bit every time through the corners, but then that Zach speed stretches its legs on the straightaways. But I do think Senna is probably picking up a little bit of slipstream here, and that's probably going to help him. And now Bobby Rahal into the pits again. Not sure what for, but that might be his planned pit stop. Yeah, the BMW is once again at the back of the pack and not looking too great. Jan Lammers still just leading, holding off Ayrton Senna so far. John Nielsen not quite being able to connect with those front two. And then similar for Alain Prost, who seems to be getting ever so closer to John Nielsen in front. And Nelson Piquet is not quite close enough to do anything. He's just running his own race at this point. And well, if he can finish in 5th here today, that would be great for him. After once again having to provide for his team on his own, Nelson Piquet on 37 points so far. And neither Johnny Herbert or JD Leto have scored any points this season. So Nelson Piquet doing all the hard work here for Benetton. But you might wonder if his patience will run out with this squad, because he can't be doing all this work on his own, even though, well, the car has been, although a bit fickle when it comes to reliability, has had the pace to obviously win races, because he's won 2 so far. He's also had 2 second places. So, you know, definitely not doing bad, but that reliability does seem to be an issue for this Benetton car. Then Alain Prost still trying. Lammers still in first as we go on board with him on lap 16 now. About just under a third of the race gone now. Lammers keeping his distance to Senna, and they're both slowly edging away from Senna, as we now have the first cars to pit, being Jeff Lees and Al Unser Jr. So it might be a good thing for Unser Jr. there to get that pit stop in early. maybe get a little bit of an undercut on some of the other cars after losing all that time at the start of the race. And now Ross Cheever also looking to recover his race, but not had quite the pace to challenge at the front, I don't think, even though his qualifying was really good. Seems like even after that initial mistake, he's just not quite had the pace to make any rapid progress to the front of the pack. Meanwhile, John Nielsen still in third. We said just slowly, very slowly losing touch, I think. But actually, Nielsen now getting a pit call. So does Alain Prost and Nelson Piquet. So those three are going to be looking to undercut the likes of Jan Lammers and Ayrton Senna, which could make it very interesting here. So lots of pit calls coming in now. And well, it'll be interesting to see what effect that has, getting some fresh tires on. We're only on lap 17, but obviously the teams think it's necessary to get the fresh tires on because the pace deficit is probably dropping down quite a bit. Look at the lap times actually. Oh yeah. Mauricio Gugelmin is running about half a second faster or so than our leaders. Could technically still could definitely still catch up towards the front of the pack, but it's gonna be difficult. And it'll be towards the end of the race that he'll probably catch up. And now Senna again going for the move here into Parabolica. Not too much time lost for these two. As long as Lammers now doesn't come back at him, which he might do here, because he has a good run down the straightaway. Not quite close enough, I don't think. So Senna keen to take the lead before the pit stop he makes. And now we have PK, Nielsen, and Prost all pitting. Prost with a really fast pit stop, I think it was, or was it? Oh, Nelson Piquet was actually really fast with his pit stop. Out comes Prost there. Then Nelson Piquet, Moreno now came into the pits. He's coming out. Ross Cheever has already made a pit stop. Now the question will be, Senna is staying out so far. And Alboreto also hasn't come in yet, along with Gugelmin. Senna definitely quite late to pit here. As the competitor behind now, Jan Lammers, he's trying to make that undercut work, because he'll, I imagine Senna will come in next lap. And we'll see as he comes across the line here if he gets that pit call. But the first time the Brazilian has looked in his element this season. The car is doing everything it needs to do so far. And yes, now Ayrton Senna getting that pit call. Will be interesting to see now where he comes out in relation to the likes of Prost and Piquet, and then also Jan Lammers, of course, because he will have some fresh tires to play with on his outlap. And now pretty much everyone getting their pit calls except for Michael Andretti, I think. He's still electing to stay out. But we'll just follow Senna around, and oh, there's more issues. Let's see. Who is that? Jeff Lees. Jeff Lees in the gravel once again. So Williams Day also going from bad to worse. Let's now follow Senna if I can find him. At least there he is. He's actually catching up to some of the one of the BMWs and one of the Williamses. I'm just very keen to see how strategy is going to play out here, as Alboreto and Gugelmin also will come in. And now coming in. And let's see how his pit stop is. Is it a fast one? Up onto the jacks. Then 5.3 seconds. That is a pretty fast pit stop. About half a second faster than most. And there comes one of the Zach speeds. So that must be Jan Lammers. Yes, it is. And Lammers now is up to speed. And oh, Senna defending. Senna defending from Lammers. Oh, and they touch going into turn one. Bit of argy-bargy, elbows out for Ayrton Senna. And it's a driving style we know from him. And he is very keen to keep Jan Lammers behind. And also further up ahead, one of the BMWs, Bobby Rahal, has a transmission failure, we're being told. So one BMW out of the race. And here comes Senna, ooh, with a bit of a lockup. Those tires still not up to temperature, of course, just came out of the pits. And you'll have to be very careful not to overdo it. Senna now holding on to that first position, and let's see if Lammers can improve there. Now I'm thinking Nelson Piquet. More pit calls going on. I'm wondering if perhaps one of the files isn't quite correct here for the pit stop. So you might see the cars doing 2 pit stops here, but then they'll run until the end. So that's a bit of an oversight on my part, but that it should still even out the field. Yeah, because everyone's getting a pit call now again, so they're gonna make 2 pit stops, and but then they should run until the end of the race, hopefully. Only briefly checked on the pit strategies, but should all make a 2-stop then. Obviously, some of the cars that have had any issues and already made an extra pit stop, they might make 3 in total then. But yeah, everyone getting more pit calls now. Like I said, that should even out the field again. Shouldn't be an issue for the end of the race. As Senna will now come in for his second pit stop then, in 2 laps. Great tactical masterminds here from all the teams. Obviously, they all had the same idea. They could only run 1 lap on their second set of tires, which, I mean, sure, some extensive research and R&D went into that decision. Strategy team days on end trying to figure that one out. But there we go. Now we're in the same situation as we were in earlier. Senna actually a bit further ahead now than John Nielsen, but we end up with the same positions and the same situation. As now we have Senna in the lead once again, Nielsen right behind him. Then comes Nelson Piquet, then Jan Lammers, then we have Mika Hakkinen, and just trying to see where the likes of Prost are. So, so Prost was, he was very slow. So he must have had some sort of issue somewhere, and now Jeff Lee's going slow, and he's also had some sort of issue with the engine or transmission. And, well, Anna Williams pulling over to the side. So they've had a pretty good rate of finishing in the last 6 or so rounds. Yeah, over to the side now, and unfortunately, we'll have to come in. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ross Cheever had that electrical issue at the start, so I think that's why he is making another stop. And I'm just trying to remember if there was any other cars that had issues. But, if we start seeing more pit stops here, then obviously we will have to rerun the race. I think that is purely because Cheever had that electrical issue at the start, so that should be his last pit stop, and then he will end up in the similar position to where he was, I think, before all the pit stop shenanigans went on. So yeah, he's right about where he was before all the pit stops. So that makes sense. So now we have Senna, who's actually, well, running about 1.2 seconds in front of Nielsen, so managed to create a little bit of a gap, maybe a slight error on Nielsen's part. But yeah, Senna has been looking solid throughout the day. Only has about half the race, just over half the race to go. And, well, it would be a massive fastest lap now as well for Ayrton Senna, so really pushing the tempo now. And yeah, it could be a massive points gain here for Lotus, which would make them close up to the likes of McLaren, and Ayrton Senna could get onto 37 points, which would obviously boost him quite a lot in the Drivers' Championship as well. So far, we have a very interesting championship fight, of course. We have the Drivers' Championship between Alain Prost, Gugelmin, and Jan Lammers, who are on 49 points, 48, and 46 respectively, so that is a very close fight. And we also have Ferrari and Zaxbyt in the Constructors, who are only about 8 points separated. And then there's a lot to play for in the midfield as well. McLaren is kind of on its own at the moment. But then you have Lotus, Benetton, Tyrrell, and Minardi, who are on 43, 37, 35, 34 points. So that's respectively. And yeah, so all these guys really have to still perform towards the end of the season here, because one bad race could mean dropping down the Constructors' Championship. And obviously that's where the big money comes in. And yeah, that could mean a lot for these. Obviously, this year onwards, also the Drivers' Championship is gonna pay out some cash at the end of the season. It obviously won't be nearly as much as the Constructors, but there is still, you know, a reason. Oh no, and calamity for Ayrton Senna, a disaster as he is grinding to a halt, and that looks like a transmission failure for the Brazilian. So everything was going so well for Ayrton Senna, but unfortunately this is now gonna come to an end and comes to a halt in a very unfortunate position there onto the track. But that means John Nielsen inherits the lead with half the race to go. And unfortunately, whenever Senna had that chance, the car has not worked with him. And only one victory so far, and what looked to be a sure victory here today at Monza, car isn't just being able to hold up with Senna, and yeah, unfortunately pulls out. And then there's another failure here. Mika Hakkinen, young Finn in the Ligier, was also looking really solid here today, and his race unfortunately coming to an end. Also one of those drivers, Hakkinen, has looked promising, has scored a fair share of points. He's not done much worse as his teammate and much more experienced teammate Patrese. They're on 15 points and 11. Patrese having the 15. So yeah, Hakkinen unfortunately won't be able to finish this race, and that's very unfortunate for the young Finnish driver. And Al Unser Jr. now in 9th place, then Ross Cheever in 10th. He's still trying to make up some time, but is inside the top 10 now. And then Al Unser Jr. still in 9th. Take a look at Alain Prost, and now Alboreto reporting issues. He's going slow, and oh, is he gonna come to a halt? I think he might. He's only in the first part of the lap. Coming up to the last sector though, he's just over halfway there, so he could make it back to the pits. Let's hope he does. Let's see, here comes to Ascari. Let's hope he can make it back. Race was also looking so good. Very slow, but can he nurse the car to the pits? See here, one more corner to go. Parabolica does look like he might reach the pits. Short way to go now, and he does come in. So Michele Alboreto is race not over, and he will have a fresh set of tires now to push towards the end. Not sure what was the issue there, but he was going very slow. Comes in now, the team holds a fresh set of tires on, and slower pit stop, but he will come out now, and he might still be inside the top 10 there. Coming out in front of his teammate Cheever, and Cheever now putting the move on to Al Unser Jr. Does manage to do so, so Cheever up into 9th position again. Now the question will be if Alboreto has the pace to stay in front of his teammate, or if he has to cede that position. So both Minardi suffering from some sort of issue throughout the race. Luckily, they've been able to keep going. It's Alboreto now just inside the points still, and could be looking good to score some more here today, as done 4 points so far. Could add another one to that tally, but still have about 23 laps to go, so nothing says that he couldn't catch up to the likes of Dalmas or Prost, for instance, which seem to be a long way ahead of him, but you know, fresh set of tires. Alboreto's pace was looking solid. And if we look at the sector time here, he's already gained about a second on Dalmas, so yeah, or on the leader, that is, even. So not looking shabby. Alboreto here today, definitely putting in an impressive performance, the Italian. Ajima still running at the back. Michael Andretti still in that unfortunate position. And Nelson Piquet now has made it to P2. Then Jan Lammer seems to have slowed down a little bit as well. Piquet now in second, and Mauricio Gugelmin, through all of these issues that other cars have been having, and all of the mistakes people have made, Gugelmin now into 3rd position. So the day definitely not over for the Tifosi. Question will now obviously be if PK can hold on. Can he defend that position from the ever-looming threat that is Ferrari? And well, the one unfortunate thing here is that Gugelmin is in front of Jan Lammers, so Lammers was looking at a good chance to close the gap to Gugelmin in the Drivers' Championship, but Gugelmin has looked strong all season. I think I've mentioned it before, but every race Gugelmin has finished has been on the podium, and he's looking to continue that trend here today. It looks like Ferrari have secured their star of the future in the Argentinian. Oh, and now further back we have Eddie Lawson. Oh, actually, he got to the pits and seemed like a puncture. Got to the pits with a puncture, which is, well, quite remarkable. That usually doesn't happen, but he did make it into the pits, which, well, obviously, it won't do anything for his race after great result last time around for Lawson. Scoring 3 points. He won't score any today, I don't think, but, yeah, like we mentioned before, definitely hasn't looked bad, and he's doing the best he can, I think, with the machinery he's given. Meanwhile now, John Nielsen still leading this race, and I think this is the battle we're gonna try and watch here. Nelson Piquet and Mauricio Gugelmin now battling for that second spot. I've been saying Argentinian to Gugelmin, but obviously he's Brazilian. As I gotten that mixed up, but Alain Prost now pulling out of the race, and yeah, very unfortunate there as well for the McLaren, who has been looking up now. He was in the lead of the Drivers' World Championship, remember that, but obviously with this result, unless all the top runners now drop out, he will be overtaken there again. So McLaren, not with the best of forms, have had some highlights throughout the season, but nothing to challenge for a constructor's title, I think. And that will be made even harder now. Yeah, talking about Gugelmin, obviously Brazilian driver, and he's looking strong. So another great Brazilian driver that is looking to challenge for a world championship here, and he's kind of taken over the mantle of Emerson Fittipaldi in that regard. But yeah, Gugelmin closing up now onto John Nielsen as well, has made short work of Nelson Piquet, really. And now slowly but surely closing up. There we go. Fastest lap again for Gugelmin, and he is definitely making up a lot of time on John Nielsen. But we know that the Zach speed can be tricky to overtake on a straightaway, so be curious to see if Gugelmin can make short work as well of that Zach speed once he gets up to it. If he does, obviously. We'll have to see. Gets past the BMW now of Theo Fabi, I think that is. Charging towards the front. Nelson Piquet still in third, being I think slowly caught up by Jan Lammers as we take a look at the lap times. Piquet doing a 32.8 and Lammers a 32.7 for Piquet and then 32.8 for Lammers, so they're matching times pretty much. Piquet still holding on just fine, and the race is strung out now a bit. Now the second Lotus of Moreno still running inside the top 5, so Moreno looking at some decent points. As Mauricio Gugelmin pumps in another fastest lap. It's looking solid. Then we go to Yannick Dalmas, who's also running into the points now. So Dalmas could for a big chunk of points here for McLaren and for himself, really. Because he's only on 8 points so far compared to the 49 that Alain Prost is on. So Dalmas, but we've said it time and time again, really underperforming this season. And unfortunately, that has come at a cost for McLaren. Because you just think if Dalmas would have been around those points paying positions a bit more, I could have made a world of difference. Let's say he scores 30 odd points, then McLaren right now would be around the 77 point mark, which would be really close to Zach's speed and not too far off of Ferrari. But yeah. Oh, and now, oh, a calamity! Once again, Ferrari will have both cars DNF. Mauricio Gugelmin with a catastrophic suspension failure. And oh no, this is horrible for the Tifosi, who will be with their hands in hair, and Ferrari wondering where it all went wrong today here, as Gugelmin now grinds to a halt, and well, just like that, the championship fight is on all fronts, because Gugelmin will drop down. I think Jan Lammers could take the lead here now of the Drivers' Championship. And, well, Zach Speed is, with the way this is going, Zach Speed is actually looking at overtaking Ferrari for the Constructors' Championship. So, very surprising here late on. And, well, quite incredible, to be fair. So let's see now how that shakes up. So John Nielsen takes the lead once again, and Zach Speed looking at a good result here. And yeah, luck definitely not going the way of Ferrari for their championship fight. And with one fell swoop, could see Zach Speed taking a demanding lead here in the championship fight. But Nelson Piquet now also running strong in that second position, so maybe finally for Benetton some good results here. Their car has struggled to make to see the end of races usually, and Obviously, again here with Herbert out early in the race. The team is relying once again on PK to score the points here. Jan Lammers now in third, so once again this could be solid 16 points for Zach Speed, which would put them on, I think it is 95 compared to Ferrari's 87, so could see big fight for the championship towards the end of the season here. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Could come down to the wire in this garden now. Take an eye here. I do want to take a look at the lap times here, because is Jan Lammers in any way contending for that second position? You know, as they come across the line. Doesn't seem like it. So last lap time, PK 32.4, or about a 5 if you round it off, and then Lammers, yeah, about 4/10 slower. So PK looking good, and actually running about half a second faster than John Nielsen. So PK looking very solid here today. And then meanwhile we have Roberto Moreno in 4th, Dalmas now into the top 5. And we have Michele Alboreto running in 6th. I just want to see how his lap times are compared to Dalmas, for instance. Not too far ahead, so Alboreto only about a couple of tenths faster than Dalmas, so not enough to overtake him towards the end here. His teammate Cheever also behind him. The Minardis both running in the points, which isn't too bad considering their start of the race. Then we have Patrese now for Ligier running inside the points. Then comes Alonso Jr., who's on a bit of a charge, I think. The Alonso Jr. with a 33.3 compared to Patrese's 32.7. So actually, yeah, runs are running quite a bit slower. And then comes Martin Brundle inside the top 10 for Williams. And we have Eddie Lawson just outside that top 10 again in the Euro Brun. Then comes Theo Fabi, one of the BMWs still running. Then we have Nakajima. And then comes Michael Andretti, who's well, had a really poor race, and his lap times and not too much faster than the cars in front, so he's in no shape or form gonna catch up, as he is already a lap behind. And wow, what a race here at Monza. Never expected this going into it. Nielsen still just holding on strongly for Zach Speed. Has about 14 laps to go. And all he has to do now is bring this car home. Don't think PK is anywhere near fast enough to catch up. So if Nielsen just manages his pace till the end, it could be an insane result for the Zach Speed squad here. Well, Nielsen is slowly getting caught by PK, but not nearly enough time being gained by PK, I don't think, to challenge for the win. Moreno running solidly for Lotus still, so not all is lost for Lotus at least. They can still score a solid amount of points. And then Almas in 5th still, then Alboreto still ahead of his teammate. So Ross Cheever not quite overtaking. Maybe he's just holding station right now. And obviously, it isn't worth risking anything right now as Patrese is still quite a ways behind. So maybe Minardi just being sensible, knowing they don't have too much to gain anymore from this race. So they might just be managing their pace, bringing it to the end, making sure that both cars score those points. And the Pepsi liveried car looking good on track. And oh no! A more issue here. John Nielsen with an issue, and here comes, oh, Nelson Piquet now in the same lap. Nelson Piquet with an oil leak. Oh, and he will pull to the side. So it's all becoming undone here, and actually that means Jan Lammers is gonna take the lead of the Drivers' World Championship here today over Gugum and Prost. And well, his teammate was looking at picking up some good points, but now Jan Lammers is taking over here, and that means the Lotus is now in P2. It will mean Dalmas is on his way to a podium for McLaren. So that would be quite a feat for Dalmas. Barely scoring any points throughout the season and then onto a podium. That would be quite incredible. And it does mean that Minardi is going to capitalize, as they're going to move themselves up into 4th and 5th. So lots of stuff happening here towards the end of the race. Jelly Alboreto now in 4th in clean air with Ross Cheever behind him. So Minardi looking good. Then comes Riccardo Patrese in 6th for Ligier. Then Al Jr. and, well, notable Williams inside the points now. So Martin Brundle on his way to score a single point. So the young British driver, well, say young, but he's to the younger side, you know, of the grid. Had his recovery after his accident, and now is trying to put his best foot forward. And Brundle now inside the points for Williams, which will be massive for that squad, as they've been looking very meager on points. Williams only scoring 7 points this season. So yeah, any point they can get is a great feat for them. Michael Andretti still running 13th. Well, the closest drivers on track at the moment are Alboreto and Cheever, and I just want to compare lap times between Brundle and Unser Jr. So Brundle is running slightly faster, so could we see a little fight here towards the end of the race between those two? I would like to see it. And then still slowly making headway towards Dalmas, I think, Alboreto. Compare their lap times. So Alboreto 33.4. Cheever 33.2. Cheever might make a move here at some point. But let's compare last lap times. Almost 33.5. Alboreto 32.7. Okay, so they are gaining quite a bit of time here. So being Ken Dalmas hold on to that podium position, because those two Minardis are heading for him. And would be a great recovery for Minardi here today if they can end up with a podium position. It's already a great recovery, both of them being inside the top 5. Most importantly, Michele Alboreto getting some decent points on the boards, which will move up in the driver's standings quite a bit. And then we look at Dalmas here, just running his own pace. Has a lot of clean track to work with. So for his sake, he can just keep bumping in the lap times and finally get a good result with that McLaren. Would be a huge boost to his confidence. Yeah, both of the Minardi's chasing, and then Brundle also on the hunt, and he is within 2.5 seconds, I believe, or there or thereabouts. And yeah, Martin Brundle getting ever closer. He's not exactly destroying the lap times of Alonso Jr. in front. He's only very slightly faster. So yeah, we'll see if he can get inside the slipstream at some point. He has a good chance of making that overtake. Then Michael Andretti still running at the back, of course. Eddie Lawson now inside the top 10. That's, again, not bad for Eurobrun, as they'll be looking to just get everything they can get. And Eddie Lawson still just running. Sorry for that little interruption there. Yeah, Lammers still running solidly. Moreno now, see actually, what are the lap times compared here? Because I thought Moreno... Oh, Moreno actually putting in lots of pace here towards the end. So 8/10 quicker for Moreno. And that might actually make it possible here for Lotus to challenge for the win towards the end of the race, which is very surprising. Hammers doing good. Dalmas still holding on. Looks like he's probably gonna hold on from those two Minardis behind him. So that's very positive for McLaren, at least when Prost has dropped out. Yeah, not looking too bad. Then yeah, Dalmas just looking solid. Alboreto close now. Let's once again keep an eye on the lap times. Yeah, still about 7 or so tenths quicker than Dalmas, but that might not be enough here towards the end of the race. Now, Look at Patrese. He's just kind of in the middle of no man's land. He's 5 seconds off of Ross Cheever, and then 5 or so in front of Al Unser Jr. Martin Brundle. He's actually slowly losing time now to Al Unser Jr. So pace is swaying between these cars a bit, and yeah, Brundle, even though it looked like he had the pace to maybe catch up to Al Unser Jr. in front, it now looks like, well, he's right there, you can see it, but now it looks like he might not be able to do it in the remaining laps here. Meanwhile, look at Ross Cheever, who's still just holding station behind his teammate, it seems like. I don't think he quite has the pace to make that overtake either. Doesn't look like it. He's not been, he's always been at around that 1 second mark. He's not been much closer, so. But now everything is somewhat settled down. Moreno doesn't look to be actually going that fast. Let's take a couple of laps on board here with Jan Lammers. As we come back now, we can see Temple of Speed has claimed another victim in the form of Riccardo Patrese. with a transmission failure, which also means now that Eddie Lawson once again promoted up into the points, so he might score points here 2 times in a row, which again would be a great result for Eurobrun. Meanwhile, Martin Brundle obviously moving up into 7th position, which would warrant 2 points here. Oh, and Yannick Dalmas with an issue here at the end of the race. Oh, and a disaster for the Frenchman. And he's now gonna come out of the pits, but yeah, that is way too late into the race. Let's say if there was 10 laps remaining, then he could try and recover a bit more, but he does now stay in front of Martin Brundle. And he'll be on very fresh tires for 3 laps remaining here, but there's no way he can get it back to 3rd or 4th. But Michele Alboreto on his way to a podium. And who would have thought that at the start of the race? So this can be an amazing result for Minardi. And Dalmas now. Let's see here visually how much distance he can get over the other cars. He is gaining quite a bit. I don't think it would be out of the question that he can reach Alan Sir Jr. in front on these this fresh set of tires. You just look at visually how much distance he's gaining to Martin Brundle, for instance. Now the McLaren also isn't too shabby on the straights. But yeah, let's keep an eye on Dalmas in the next 2 or 3 laps here. Can do anything about getting inside that top 5, but oh, it all falls apart here towards the end for Dalmas, unfortunately. And he was on his way for a great podium position, but obviously now positives to take away from Minardi as they 2 cars running very closely. And oh, Alistair Jr. Oh, he's grinding to a halt, and now with a puncture for Alistair Jr. So Dalmas once again getting inside the top 5, and Alistair Jr. grinding to a halt. Oh, and that is so unfortunate. But that does mean now Martin Brundle up into 6th position. Lawson will be heading into 7th. And finally, once again, a BMW will be heading for some points in the form of Theo Fabi, who hasn't scored any points so far this season. Lots of retirements here today, and that's well, quite curious. Meanwhile, Lammers still running solidly, and he's only got 1 more lap to go after this one. But Alboreto on the podium, Ross Cheever in 4th. Dalmas now back up into 5th. Then comes Martin Brundle in 6th, so Brundle will score a solid 3 points here, which will put them still just behind BMW because of Theo Fabi. That is supposedly going to score 1 point, hopefully. But man, what a race of attrition here today. And Michael Andretti now just outside of that top 10, but he will actually be able to overtake Alonso Jr. still, so he will be inside the top 10. And well, Satoru Nakajima on the cusp of points. Brundle here holding on to that 6th position. In the meanwhile, as nothing much probably will happen here, we have Jan Lammers going through Variante da Retifiglio, down Curva Grande, and Zach Speed looking to take the lead of the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship in one fell swoop, but it will be very close. Nielsen didn't have that transmission failure, then it would have been well clear, but now will only be difference of 2 points in the Constructors. And, well, Lammers will take quite a demanding lead in the Drivers' Championship, but as we can see, with this race, for instance, it is, it only takes one race to change the outlook of the championships. And Jan Lammers now coming out of Ascari, down Retefilio Centro, and he will go into Parabolica for the last time. And Jan Lammers, the Dutchman, heads towards the start-finish line, and he will cross it to win the Monza GP at the Temple of Speed. Jan Lammers comes across the line, takes the victory. Lotus Roberto Moreno with a solid P2, nice podium position for him. And then comes Ross Cheever, who's actually gotten past Michele Alboreto in the last lap. So Ross Cheever here, maybe a tactical swap from the team. Ross Cheever also solid here. P3 did well to recover after the start of his race. Michele Alboreto, I mean, MDK couldn't be much happier, I don't think, with this result. Both solidly scoring points and a podium. Then comes Dalmas. Unfortunate that his podium didn't come to fruition, but at least some points got recovered by McLaren here today. So 5th place for Dalmas as he comes across the line. Then it's Martin Brundle for Williams, P6. Very nice result, which I think will be their best result for the season so far. Then comes Eddie Lawson. Once again, back-to-back points for the Eurobrun. Very nicely done by Eddie. And then Eddie Lawson, Theo Fabi, he already came across the line, I think, because he's a lap behind, but he scores points, 1 point for BMW, which makes them stay ahead of Williams. And then Satoru Nakajima in 9th place, with Michael Andretti somehow finishing in 10th. But yeah, very interesting Italian Grand Prix here. It swung multiple times into the favor of someone else. And let's take a look at the full race results. So Jan Lammers coming across the line in 1 hour and 20 minutes and 34 seconds for Zach Speed. Roberto Moreno in the Lotus in 2nd. Ross Cheever and Alboreto in Minardi, I should say rather, in 3rd and 4th. In comes Dalmas in the McLaren in 5th. Unfortunate to see his podium slip away from him in the last laps. Williams with their best result of the season in 6th with Martin Brundle. Then Eddie Lawson scoring back-to-back points for Eurobrun. Then Theo Fabi scoring a single point for BMW after having a long point drought. And Satoru Nakajima also inside the top 10 for Eurobrun. Once again, very good for Eurobrun. Then Tyrrell, 10th and 11th. Their race also seemed like it could have been a lot better, but just fortune didn't go their way. Patrese in the Ligier, 6 laps from the end, pulls over with an issue. Oil leak for Nelson Piquet, who was running in P2 at some point. Transmission failure for John Nielsen, and suspension for Gugelmin. He was running, in that first place, looking to take a strong victory, but then the race just fell apart for him. Prost coming to a halt with transmission failures. So did Hakkinen, Senna, Lees, and Rahal from 16th all the way up to 20th, all transmission failures. And Fittipaldi and Johnny Herbert both having their own personal mistakes through the race and ending in 21st and 22nd. But yeah, this turns the championship on its head, and it will be a close fight, it seems, between Ferrari and Zach Speed coming coming the last 4 rounds. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. I very much enjoyed it once again, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.